Right, we're here today by the River Thames, the capital of England and the capital of Great Britain and the capital of the United Kingdom, which also proves that the English were the dominant force in the British Empire. Right, this video, this analysis, what I'm doing today is about the Paul Rimmer, Graham Moore debate, which was on the Reverend Simon Sideways channel. And Paul Rimmer was more or less arguing that the Indigenous British do exist, and Graham Moore is saying that Indigenous British don't exist. That's what this big division is about. Nobody's saying that we don't want people to campaign for an independent England. That's fine. That's always been the case with the English Democrats. The issue is that the Indigenous British identity is being denied, and this is wrong. And so if I'm abroad somewhere and someone says to me, "Are we from? Who are you?" I say I'm English. Yeah, that's my first response to somebody. But I'm part of the English tribe, which is a tribe within the borders of Britain. So the English are a British tribe, ethnically. Forget about what's on paper and laws and all this. From history and geography, the English, the Celts, the Picts, the Britons are all British tribes. Now, I've campaigned for an English Parliament. I've campaigned for a bank holiday for St George's Day. I would even be happy to have a referendum on if England wanted the referendum. If England wanted independence, I would vote against it. I believe that the majority of the English people would want to stay in the Union of the United Kingdom and remain part of Britain. Now, as I said, I've campaigned for that when I was in the BNP since 2012. Most British nationalists, the majority of them are English and very proud to be English, but we are also Indigenous British. So I'm going to leave a link in the description for the video, the debate, what Graham Moore and Paul Rimmer had on the Revs channel. I'll leave the link in the description. I'm also going to leave a link in the description of the history of the Indigenous British. Britain was here, named Britain, before the Angles, the Jutes and the Saxons even arrived on the island of Britain. And that video explains it all to prove to anyone who's believing the misinformation that Graham is spreading, that the Indigenous British do exist, and they were here before the Jutes, the Angles and the Saxons arrived, who then evolved into being the English. As I'll reiterate again, the issue, what's causing all the problems, is that Graham will not acknowledge and not recognise the Indigenous British as an ancient European tribe. So let's talk about what is Indigenous, yeah? So when I was in the BNP, the BBC, the Labour Party, the Conservative Party always used to say there's no such thing as Indigenous British. And the BNP's response would be, the BBC, the Labour Party, the Tory Party will recognise the Maoris of New Zealand as Indigenous, an Indigenous people, and they've only been on New Zealand for 400 years. The Indigenous British have been on the island of Britain for 5,000 plus years. And so the criteria, let's say 500 years. 500 years, if you settle somewhere and you've been there for 500 years, you are classed as Indigenous. So, for example, in America, Australia, the European settlers, they're not yet indigenous population, are they? So that's what indigenous means. Also, Graham, he wouldn't name who these British we keep talking about. He would not name them. Paul Rimmer asked him in the debate, who are these British people you're talking about, who he hates and who he's against? And the reason I suspect that Graham Moore will not answer that question is because all the leading players of the British Empire were English. This is fact. The English were the dominant force of the British Empire, and we should be proud of that. Yes, there was some negative things of the British Empire, but there was much more positive things of the British Empire. And so Graham keeps saying he keeps saying that he's only attacking the British establishment. But if he says that the indigenous British don't exist, why do you have to say establishment after the word British? Because if the British indigenous don't exist, he doesn't need to keep reaffirming to people that he's talking about the establishment. It's just an absolute joke, the whole argument, and I hope people are watching this video and they educate themselves on this fact. So I see a lot in the comments, people keep saying, oh, anyone can be British, Sadiq Khan's British and all this, right? Sadiq Khan, Chris Eubank, Priti Patel, Anik Sunash, whatever his name is, they are British citizens, they're not British people. To be a British person, you need to be Indigenous, English, Scottish, Welsh or Irish. So, in this country, we've got British citizens and British people, okay? Sadiq Khan is not a British person, he's a British citizen. Same as Amir Khan, same as Shamina Begum. She was a British citizen, but she was never, and never can be, a British person. So you get this argument in the comments saying, oh, anyone can be British and all this. So if England got their independence, what would the 18 million African and Asian people in England, what would they then be? They would be given an English passport and it would be exactly the same thing. So this is another argument I keep seeing, which is just laughable. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's like in it, like most of the immigration has gone into England, and there's like 18 million Africans, Indians, Muslims, Chinese, Middle Easterns, and if England got independence, those people would be given English passports. So what do you think? What do you think they're just going to disappear out of thin air? I mean, it's just laughable, the whole thing. I can't believe I've got to do this video, right? But the reason I'm doing it is because Graham Moore is misleading a lot of people. He's feeding them misinformation, and he's causing a big division, and he's dividing the patriotic community. You know, Graham says he's not a nationalist. He's not a nationalist. So he's happy for. So once Graham got his independent England, he'd be happy for points-based immigration from, let's say, Ethiopia or India, doctors, IT experts. And he's happy to make them English, but he won't recognise the indigenous British. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know, he goes out of his way to say things like this, and it's laughable. Graham was a leading member of the English Democrats, and they always had a policy of points-based immigration. They want more immigration, more people who are not English into England. But then they demonised the indigenous British, who were an ancient white tribe of this island. Graham also says that he compares the British, as he calls it, to communism and Islam and ideologies. But he would say a communist or a Muslim or a Christian, which are ideologies, but he will never say a British person, because the minute he says a British person, his whole argument falls apart, because a British person is an ethnic person, flesh and blood. And the word British is connected to the island of Britain because of the population of that island. Communism's not connected to any geographical map. Islam's not connected to any geographical map. And that's why he's very careful not to say, he never says a British person, always the British, or that's a British thing to do, because he doesn't want to acknowledge that the indigenous British exist, because his whole argument will fall apart. You know, Graham keeps calling the British racist. This is anti-white. This is textbook Labour Party, National Union of Teachers, cultural Marxist, anti-white agenda against the indigenous population of Britain, calling the British racists. This is what they're brainwashing our kids with in school. The British Empire was racist. You're racist, making them feel guilty and ashamed of themselves. And it's disgusting, to be honest. I can't believe that this is happening. You know, Graham also keeps saying he's against fascism. Fascism, in 2022, to be fighting against fascism means you're fighting against rights for whites. That's what that means, if you're anti-fascist in 2022. That means you do not want the white population to be treated equally. So yeah, again, to deny the indigenous British exist is dehumanising one of the ancient tribes of this island, which is called Britain. You know, is Edward Colston a racist? You know, do you agree with Edward Colston's statue being ripped down because of his links to slavery? Let me reiterate, I'm very proud of the British Empire, and the British Empire was the greatest empire the world has ever seen, and it was lots more positives than negatives, many more positives than negatives. You know, yeah, so Graham is not a nationalist. He's categorically stated he's not a nationalist. He doesn't believe in blood and soil. He believes in a bit of paper. This thing he calls the English Constitution. And that's why he doesn't want to acknowledge that the indigenous British exist, because then it won't be a piece of paper he's fighting against. He's trying to fight one piece of paper, the British, what he says, with his piece of paper. But he knows if the indigenous British are acknowledged, which they are, they do exist, he's going to lose, because blood and soil is much more powerful than a piece of paper. So yeah, you know, everybody's heard of Baudica. I'm not far from the Baudica statue, just up there. And she was the queen of the Britonic tribe Iceni. She was a British queen. Britonic was a language spoken by the Britons around the year 2000. They were around in South Britain. You also had languages like Pictish, Celtic, insular Celtic. So there was 4 tribal languages spoke on this island before the English arrived. And they arrived as the Angles, the Saxons and the Jutes. So Graham, what you need to do is stop calling the British racist and stop denying the Indigenous British exist.
Absolutely.
In other words, stop being anti-white.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
God bless you, sir.